Thank you for joining me today on Ready Aim Stamp. My name is Amy McCants. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I am going to share a double pocket fold, I think that's what it's called, card. And I saw a video by Jan Radu. I hope I said her name right. She is a demonstrator in Australia, and she did a double pocket fold card. And I thought it was a really fun way to use some designer series paper. Here's pocket 1, pocket 2. You could put a bag of tea or something. You don't want it to be very thick, obviously, especially if you're going to be mailing it, but you could put a little something in there in these pockets. It's a goodie, or some fun little sentiments and messages. Let's ready, aim, stamp. All right, so we are going to need our paper trimmer, and we're going to put the long arm out, and I'm going to use this sheet of Waves of the Ocean Designer Series paper. And it's important, I want this to be my front piece because I know what way the waves are going. So I'm actually going to cut it from this side because I know where I need to have my cut flap and which orientation it needs to be. So we're going to cut this to 8.5. And 11. Let's see. No, I don't want to lose all that pretty blue on that side, so we'll cut it this way. Okay. Now we are going to, let me make sure I have this going the way I think I need it. We are going to score it down the middle in both directions. So along the 8.5, we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And then we're going to turn it and score it at 5.5. Sorry, I hit the camera and it looks like, there we go. Now, peek here again. Okay. So now while I have this in position, and I've triple checked, so hopefully this still remains the way I want it to, I am going to take this little cutter blade and I'm going to put it at the 4 1/4 mark, which will line up with one of our score marks. And I'm going to slide it up towards the top. And this gives us kind of a little flappy edge. And it faces this way on this side. Okay, and I'm going to move my paper cutter out of the way and use my template to help me remember. I'm going to fold from this side. First, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of help burnish that fold, which is now 3-part. Doesn't look like I did a very good job of cutting that. Oh, and my thing's not on inches. So I'm going to just cheat and trim this down this little bit. Right there. And now I'll get that out of the way. Okay, so now we are going to turn this and we are going to fold it along this score mark. We're lining that up and we're folding down. You can see I have a little score mark where I got myself all confused and all excited, being nervous, and I accidentally scored in the wrong spot. But that's okay because this part is going to be glued down and hidden. Yay for small things. So then on this side, I am going to use the center mark, and it tells me about where an inch is. And on this one, this is what I did to the other one on accident. I am just going to fold it and try to get it as straight as I can along that and burnish that down. Okay, so now here is the fun part. I'm going to turn it this way because this is the front right side. We're going to fold it over that side, the little other pocket side. Then we're going to come up. So we have the waves and the waves. And fold it this way. So I had to make a little template so that I could look at it. And even then I tried to mess up. So this is going to be the inside of the card. And we can put paper or something to write on. You hate covering that up. So maybe, I don't know. I'll think about it. Here's our first pocket and our second pocket. And here's how it folds up onto each other, or itself. So I am going to unfold it a little bit here, and I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape, because it has a little bit, you could use the stamp and seal, and I'm just putting it right across there, and take that little sticker off. I'm going to go ahead and stick it down. Fold that flap over and secure it, and I'm going to do the same with this flap, just so it doesn't try to hang anything up while it's in card format. I'm going to make that one go that direction. Whoops. There. And fold that down. So then I am going to put tear and tape on this edge. And I got that too long, because I always do that. I'm going to put it right here on this little short edge. This is how we're going to make our pocket. And along this bottom edge, now I don't want to put anything into this pocket that's really small, like you wouldn't put glitter or anything, because it's going to fall out. But the little bookmarks or whatever that we make will be perfect for this. You could put a cup of tea, or not a cup of tea, you could put a package of tea in for somebody if you're sending them a get well, or I think you're tea-rific card. Ha ha ha. I'm so punny. So now if you wanted to put any kind of twine or rope or ribbon, this is where you'd want to do it, because you can come around this edge and around. So you would do that step now. I'm not going to do that on this card. So I'm going to go ahead and secure down this pocket too by putting my tear and tape along this edge. And then this shorter edge. And it doesn't really matter if it goes over there, because it's going to just fold on itself. And there we go. Just fold that right up. All right, beautiful already. But we're going to add to it. I took some of the blue and silver foil paper. If you didn't get in on that deal where you could get the blue, there is like a darker silver or a black foil that would work really well. And then I have the 2 Waves of the Ocean dies, and I am going to cut them. And I cut this paper to about 2.5 by 4 1/4, because it's going to go on the front here. And so it didn't need to be the whole length of the die, which is at about the 5.5. So I have to decide, let's see, this must be my silver one, and this one's my blue one, and I will be right back with those cut out. All right, so we have those cut out with the die cut machine, and I'm just gonna remove those, stick them out of the way. And then I'm just going to very carefully pull the pieces out. I used my detailed cutting plate, the little metal one, and I only ran this through once because it seemed like it cut pretty well, and I think it did, so that's a good thing. Sometimes I'll run it through just a couple of swipes in a row to make sure. Because especially on these little delicate detailed dies, it's very frustrating to feel like you're weakening it when you have to pull it to the back and then peel it away. This guy is not going to do that. It's just needed a little tear. Oop, forgot about these ones down here. Come on. Silly thing. This one is going to kind of be a pain, and I'm trying to be very careful because I don't want to make that any more delicate than it already is. I'm just going to trim off this little edge here with my trimmer, paper snips, I think. Huh. There, I got it. It was tricking me. All right, so that I am going to end up gluing down like that. And here we'll do the same process with this pretty silver that I think of as more like the foamy part. And I might have, nope, okay, good. I thought I might have shot myself in the foot by cutting that off early. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes it's a better idea to make it too big and then trim it down after you've adhered it to the bottom piece of cardstock that you're using. But I like to live on the edge. Just kidding, I really don't, but sometimes I'm just silly and don't think things through. And so by that, I end up living on the edge. All right. So here we have that, and you can layer those just right on top of each other, it looks like. I haven't played with these a whole bunch, so you guys are my guinea pigs almost, or this project is my guinea pigs. So I am going to just go ahead and glue them down. I'm going to use my silicone mat to catch all that glue, and I am going to use my multi-purpose glue. You could use the fine point glue also. I've been playing with it more lately, and I've noticed that it seems to dry faster, and I'm slow, so when I use the multi-purpose glue, even if it dries, it's still going to adhere it to there because it does kind of like a post-it note repositional glue once it's dried. But it'll be glued down well enough because it's going to be fairly wet when we put it down here. And I'm just going to try to follow the edge of my card, the bottom edge and the left. Press that down. You could even just do one layer and it would be gorgeous. I love this foil and just this ocean. Oops, I didn't get it. Whoop. See, that's another thing about this glue is there's a little wiggle room too, which I need obviously, because I didn't get it down on the edge as much as I wanted it to. All right, so now I'm gonna do our little silver white cap foam. I'm not sure what you want to call it. Part of our wave. Just doing little dots. Right. Try to do a better job of getting along that bottom. give it a little bit of pressure. And you can always, if you're worried about it not sticking well, you can always put a block on it and kind of weigh it down with that. So there we already have just this really pretty front to our card. And now we're gonna add a little bit more. So for this back pocket, I have a piece of coastal cabana that I cut at 2.5 by 5. And then I have a piece of smoky slate that is just kind of a scrap. I have the whale from Whale Done, As Long as the Sentiment, You're Kind of a Big Deal. I thought that would be really cute. So I'm going to use the Pacific Point, and I'm going to stamp both of these images. The first, or the sentiment, I'm going to stamp onto the coastal cabana. And I'm going to stick this under to give it some cushion. And I'm just going to kind of put this on here. And good deal. Set that aside. And then I am going to stamp my whale down here on my smoky slate. Then I'm going to punch it out. Ooh, I love him. Hopefully that was in the frame. I'm trying to do better about making sure what I'm doing is in the frame, but when I'm looking down on the video as it's recording, it shows it in the frame, but then when I go back to edit it, it's not. So, all right, and I am just gonna punch the whale out from the smoky slate. Got all these other little bits. He's gonna go on here, and I think he needs some seaweed to kind of, or maybe we'll do some little fish. That's what we'll do. We'll do some little fish. So whoops, I didn't need that. I have them right here. Here are the little fish, and we could do a jellyfish too. So I'm gonna move him out of the way again. And I'm gonna put the jellyfish on this block. And open back up my Pacific Point. So this is kind of like everything else in card making and stamping and paper crafting. You really can go as in-depth and detailed and fun as you want, and just have at it, and you know, go wild, I guess, with your design on this. Or you can make it just as simple as you want, depending on who it's for, or maybe how much time you have to work on it. And I know these are upside down, but I'm just gonna do that. Maybe I'll do some more down here too. Just fill up our ocean. There. All right. Now we'll close that. And again, I'm just going to use my multi-purpose glue. You could use foam adhesive dimensionals, but you don't want it to be too much that it can catch on when it's going in and out of that pocket. And just gonna put him right here. He's gonna cover up some of the fish, but not all of them. So that's our first little fun insert for this pocket card, and it kind of peeks out so they know there's something in there. And then for this other one, I'm going to use some images from our Seize the Day stamp set. So for our front pocket, I have a piece of Pacific Point that's 3x4, and I have a piece of Pear Pizzazz that is about 2 1/4 by 4, somewhere around in there. And I'm just going to cut out this seaweed from the die cut in a moment. I also grabbed a piece of white cardstock, just basic white, and the octopus from Seize the Day. This seaweed is from Seize the Day also. It's one of the dies. And then I'm going to use Poppy Parade for my octopus. And I am going to ink him up real good. And stamp him in here. That didn't work very well. We're going to try this again. That's the beauty of it. I just flip it over. That's better. And it's okay that I got that little funny mark, because we're going to cut him out with his die cut and that'll go away. So before I do that, I'm going to use Pacific Point again. And I'm going to do Wishing You Open Oceans of Happiness. Just right up here in this top right corner. And now I'm going to go cut those other ones out and I'll be right back. Alright, here we are with our little die cuts. Looks like I need to go run this one through again, maybe. There's some spots where it didn't quite cut, so I'm going to do that. Alright, much better. You can see there's little slivers where I accidentally kind of shaved off more, which, since this is the only one I'm cutting and it doesn't really have to align with anything, that's okay. I would have been better off to run it through twice while I had it in there, or I think I had it in sideways, and if you have it at an angle, a lot of times these dies will do better cutting and going through. So we have that, and then we have our cute little octopus, and we'll double cut. You can kind of put him, I think we'll do like that. So, get my little silicone mat out again so I don't have a glue mess everywhere. There we go. Just stick him in here. Oops, I got some extra glue, a little too generous with my glue there. I'll wipe it off in a little bit. I have a little adhesive eraser thing that my mom had got for me, because she knows I was messy. She knew. When she was alive, she was one of my crafting partners, paper crafting and stamping. All right, just lay that one there. Try not to get too much stickiness going. And then I'm just gonna use my paper snips right here. Cut that even. And then we have our second pocket, or our first actually. Looks like that needs to be glued down a little better. I hear one of my cats yowling. Oh. Okay. So then there would be our first pocket and our second for this card. And you could do more here, but I don't want to. I like it the way it is. So for our inside, I am going to use the Pelican from the ocean, Waves of the Ocean. And I'm going to stamp it in crumb cake. And do that real quick before I let the cat in. I'm just going to do it down here in the bottom right corner. Just to add a little fun to that inside flap that we write on. Hold on. All right. So then I'm just going to, once again, use my multi-purpose glue. Try to be better about not getting close to the edge. There we go. And I'm going to place that right inside. And this is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch sheet of basic white. And there we have that card. So then the other examples I have for you got buried. Here they are. So I made this one using the peach, Sweet as a Peach paper and the birds. So may your days blossom with joy and happiness. And then I have this cute little, I also used the Hello Easter, I think it is, with the little chick and the bunny and the duck, and then used their sentiments. This is the Stitch So Sweetly Dies. And then for the inside, I just have a blank white, but that's what that other side of that designer series paper is. So then, oh, whoops, not that one yet. This one uses the Honeybee Home, and I just die cut and colored a couple of inserts to have in its pockets. You could write a message on the back. And here I did use that ribbon, so I secured it before I put it on before I laid down the tear and tape. And then I used smoky slate on the inside because I thought it would be light enough for a message to be written and yet coordinate well with this fake wood paper. So then I also decided, well, what if you have two pieces of paper that you want them to go in a certain direction? So from the conversation hearts, I just cut this piece, and first I cut it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I cut it on the diagonal from the corner to about 2 1/4 inches. I can still see my pencil mark. Is that right? No, sorry, that was 1 1/4 inches on this one. And then this other piece of striped paper, I went over 1 inch and then up 2 1/4 inches. And then I cut on the diagonal from that and just made some simple little sliders for in there. And then had run this back page or the front flap through the embossing folder. And then I think that the pool party is light enough that you can write a message on it. Well, thank you again for joining me on Ready Aim Stamp. I hope that you're inspired to use some of your pretty designer series paper and make some double pocket fold cards.